Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer. I'm kind of trying to clean up the house a little bit. Here's my favorite bumper stickers. I got altruistic and so I've been trying to get along for some years now without a vehicle. Keep my carbon footprint down. So I got bumper stickers, but I got no bumper to put them on. So, welcome to Astrology, ancient science in the modern world. That's what we're doing here, very ancient science, 10,000, 15,000 year old stuff. And our arrogant modern age tends to throw everything out, the baby with the bathwater. Anything ancient? Oh, it's myth. Hey, today's Friday. Ancient Aliens is on the History Channel. I love the show because they show me all the ancient ruins and the Stonehenges, and they go back and back and they look at all these amazing things that ancient sciences did. Not just astrology, but they were good at other things too. And then they all say, oh, well, couldn't have been people. No. Alien must have come here and taught us how to build pyramids and taught us how to do brain surgery and taught us. Say everything gets blamed on aliens when in fact they won't give credit to the ancient people. Well, I do, and I tried it out and I found out that astrology really works. It's not exactly easy, but it really works. Anyway, here's a small demonstration. We're going to go through the last week in November for you day by day. Now what we're looking for here is the mood of the times. Because I know you're in a turbulent month. And a turbulent week. You're in the wettest and freakiest week of a freaky month. And reminder that Neptune stopped for you Wednesday morning, the 18th. About 6 a.m. And when Neptune slows down to stop in the sky, whoa, you're going to feel it. Yeah, there he is. Basically, the symbol for Neptune is the crescent of fleshed beings over the cross of matter. And the crescent is here. And the cross of matter. When I first started studying astrology, I thought, whoa, that looks to me like Jesus impaled on the cross. That's certainly one theme. But Neptune, of course, had his trident, and he's very big if you look at the ancient stuff. What's happening now is, though, when he slowed down and stopped Wednesday morning for you, you're either going to spill things a lot, if Neptune at 7 degrees of Pisces doesn't set well in your chart, you could forget things, you could spill things. This isn't just water, by the way. Here's a coating of oil. Reminds me that one of Ben Franklin's greatest tricks was he learned about how oil coats water. He could take a small little vial of oil, and in Europe people had these big ponds, you know, with lilies and fish and stuff. And he would go and he'd put this small little vial of oil on the pond, and after a little bit the whole pond just turned into a mirror. It just calmed all the waves. A little bit of oil. People were amazed. He actually could have calculated the size of a molecule if he wanted to stop and try. But oil and water don't mix. Yeah. And yet you're going to see a lot of them. See, he's overflowing here. What's this? The dam? No, it's the sewage treatment plant. No, it's the tank of pollution down at the refinery. No, it's there's going to be a lot of this. So now you can also get some religious artistic bliss if 7 degrees of Pisces sets up good in your chart, huh? You at least ought to have your chart around. You can get one cheap. You know, be a little careful on the internet because sometimes they don't get the time zone right and daylight savings and stuff. But You can always call me up at 322-3584. If my computer's working, I will check it for you on the computer and tell you that you've got a good chart. Main thing is you want to know where your planets are, and you want a basic diagram of your chart. That way you could say, oh, well, Frost is talking about Neptune at 7 Pisces, and look at that, it's squaring Saturn here. Oh boy, that's 7 degrees of Sagittarius. Now it happens that the U.S. chart is real sensitive at 8 degrees. So you're looking at stuff this weekend when suddenly the U.S. is aware that it has opposition, has enemies. There's things going on. More on that later. But what this Saturn does is it restricts things. It makes things difficult to do. I mean, we thought we had oil in the machine, but we misread the dipstick. And so there's a lot of things that can happen with Neptune here. It's all about Neptune. Okay, these are drugs. These are doctors. These are, I can't believe, you know, we have a black brain surgeon running for president who gives us that Neptune vibe. Oh yeah, I'm calm. I'm so calm. I'm like a priest. I'm like a doctor, priest. I'm just understanding and calm, and I operate on people's brains. I will operate on your country. Oh boy, look out. What characters we have on the national stage, huh? Amazing. But this is hitting the U.S. chart pretty good, this Saturn-Neptune thing, and I'm going to show you more as we go along. The other thing in your week that's coming up that's kind of special is there's another full moon, happens on Wednesday, and this full moon is at 3 degrees of Gemini, 3.5 Gemini. 3.5 degrees of Gemini is on the U.S. rising sign. The U.S. rising sign is 5 Gemini, where full moon's at 3.5 degrees. So you take a full moon on your rising sign, you're going to have water problems in your body. You'll get dehydrated. You'll get bloated. You'll have liquid problems. You may drink too much. You might have all sorts of strange, hard to diagnose symptoms in your body and be confused, like you were drunk. Yeah. So that's what's coming up for the U.S. government after the 25th for a whole month. We're going to see some interesting things. Neptune things, huh? Yeah, it's a hard planet to get to know. There's always something sneaky going on. You know, it rules Pisces. It's in its own sign. Pisces, the two little fish, and they're swimming in other directions, huh? So, you know, there's 2 doctors here. One of them's got his hand in your pants for sex or money. The other one is a true-blooded Jesus who wants to help and is doing his damnedest. So there's always 2. It's the same thing with Uranus. If you look at the scientists and the astrologers, some of them have gone undercolor, put on white coats, you know, like the scientist with this white lab coat is just as phony as the priest with his, you know, flashy religious garb on. Half of the scientists out there, you know, are playing around with us. Half of them are not true-blooded Aquarian spirits. No, but they'll hide under the cloak of science. Just like a lot of these people, these Pisces-Neptune people, will hide under the cloak of doctor. You know, anytime I hear doctor, look out. You know, here's somebody, we call it in law, we call it undercolor. If you've been given this title, if you're wearing a uniform of color, makes you different, you get privileged positions, huh? Yes, that means you owe the law more than the ordinary care. Anyway, you're going to see some doctors fall, and most of all, a lot of places in the country, Neptune is in trouble. Your water supplies are in trouble. They're going to flood like crazy and knock down the dams, and then you're going to not have enough water. And Saturn squaring Neptune is going to go on for the next year and a half. Has to do with water rationing, yeah. You're going to see some of that. Well, let's get back to your world. Let's get back to the individual world. we got a pattern of planets here. What's interesting is the Saturn squaring Neptune, and of course we have the old Pluto squaring Uranus, panicky isolation. And right now Venus is there. You know, Venus is moving up to oppose Uranus and square Pluto, and there's going to be some pretty girls in trouble over your next week, at the start of the week, even over the next few days for you. You know, keep those pretty girls at home, because it's not a good time for them. Well, we've got the square here, 90 degrees. We've got another square here, 90 degrees. We've got an opposition here. Look out, they fight. So, we just saw that poor policeman drag out this teenage girl out of a classroom, you know, kicking and dragged her out. He got fired right away, but nevertheless, there's Venus in trouble. And heck, I'm back here on the 28th of October doing this show early, and we got police dragging girls around by... Anyway, amazing. I think of it like a big circus, you know, the American cultural scene. So, a lot of the circus is happening for you here on Thursday, because here's Thursday starts about here. So in the middle of Thursday, yes, on the 19th, the moon's going by Saturn, or square to Saturn, and hitting Neptune. And it's going to be all about the news of Neptune. So this is going to be a really interesting Thursday for you. You're watching the show here. You've probably had enough Neptune. Privileged persons under color. The king is out. Anyway, lots of times the Pope comes out and speaks. He represents the good side of Neptune, I think. And maybe we'll see what he has to say. But you got to watch what happens to you here on Thursday. Because here's your first experience of the Saturn-Neptune square. And Neptune is raging. You got water leaks? Is that the toilet leaking? I tell you, I had a water leak under my house. Everybody said, oh, it's out in the yard. We dug up the whole yard. Nope, it was underneath the slab and couldn't get at it. Big bill from the water company. Oh, boy. So mind your liquids, and that means not just water, it means oil and solvents and anything liquid, huh? Including the booze that you drink. Better be a little extra careful. So it's a crazy Thursday, and there's delusions, and there's people fooling, and there's thieves, and there's folks preaching at the, you know, with fake words. And watch the circus, and don't believe anything on Thursday, the 19th. Early Friday morning, about 4 in the morning, there's finally a sextile to Pluto, and we process the information, and Sherlock Holmes says, well, maybe there was a little truth in what the Pope said, but, you know, watch out for the king. Anyway, so you can do some investigations Friday morning, and it'll be real helpful about Pisces things. Middle of the day, around noontime, here's an opposition to Jupiter. The moon opposes Jupiter. Jupiter is the rain god and the thunder god, and it's too much, and everybody's trying to take too much. And we, you know, enough thunder and lightning and rain. Anyway, goes through Friday while the moon's still in Pisces, a mutable water sign, and it hits Aries. When you wake on Saturday, let's put it this way. Okay, Saturday morning, there's an opposition to Mars. Now, there's also a trine to Mercury. So it's like right around lunchtime, the kids are talking, everybody's communicating, and then all of a sudden it gets sharp and it gets angry on Saturday. Don't fight. Listen to the kids. If you find yourself impatient or angry, you're being overprotective, ask yourself what you're protecting. Mars' job is to protect. Soldiers aren't there to kill and destroy. They're there to protect. Yeah. I was watching a guy on TV, an anthropologist on public access, a wonderful guy at UH teaching Chinese history, talked about the Qin dynasty and how they drafted all the young men into the army so they wouldn't make trouble. And they weren't fighting wars, they were building things, like they built the wall. That's what the Greeks and the Romans did. The Romans had a fine army, very professional. Most of the time they were building roads and aqueducts, they weren't fighting. These are builders and protectors, yeah, not destroyers. So Saturn agrees. Here's Saturn. The trine to Saturn is around dinner time, and you're on Saturday, and it kind of settles out just a little bit for a little while, but don't get too comfortable, because late Saturday night, here about midnight, is the square to Pluto. And here's our old Pluto-Uranus square. Eek, a bug! Sirens, emergencies. You know, it's happening about midnight, Saturday night. And kind of keep you awake until the moon goes by Uranus and opposing Venus. And the girls are freaking out. And everybody is standing off and being independent. And what do you mean you didn't step in and help that girl? Everybody sat in that classroom and nobody stood up and protected that girl against that radical policeman, did they? Everybody's scared. Protect the girls here, Saturday night, Sunday morning. You remember when you were 16? Anyway, it's a freaky Sunday, and it's not a place where you're going to be comfortable and go along like nothing happened. Besides, you're in the last week of November. A lot's happening you're going to remember for a long time. On Monday, the moon shifts into Taurus. On the 23rd, everything changes a bit. We have an old full moon here for Taurus. It happens around breakfast time, so there's a little emotional wobbliness when the moon goes by the previous full moon point. And then here's a sextile to Neptune. Oh, music. Ah, priest, artist, doctor, religion. I got some faith after all. God wouldn't let all this terrible stuff happen to us, would he? Would your father? That's the real question. Well, get some faith up Monday. I was interested in that Chinese history. The man on public access from UH, he was talking about the religions, and he got to Taoism. And Taoism is kind of where I'm at. And he said, the trouble with Taoism is everybody wants to go out and just sit in nature with the butterfly and the birds, and nobody could afford that. Maybe old people, when they had enough money, sell the house and go sit with nature, or rich people. So Taoism turned out to be a rich person's religion. Wasn't really accepted that well by the masses. But the older I get, the more Taoist I get. D, spelled with a D, huh? And more I appreciate the birds and the butterflies. So you're going to get some of that Monday night. And there's a trine to Pluto early Tuesday morning, 3-4 o'clock in the morning here. Discovery awaits. Moon's in Taurus. Kind of nice earthy stuff, huh? But here is the opposition to that new moon. Tuesday in the middle of the day, but there's a trine to Jupiter, so any emotional wobbliness that you have here in Tuesday, probably not too serious, because Jupiter, the great benefic, says, come on, understand this, here, wake up, and put some light on it. And so there's some light coming down on Tuesday, even though it's emotionally a little heavy. Continues right through Wednesday. But just before lunch, the moon goes into Gemini. It all changes. Here's a full moon. Full moon points Wednesday. Now this 3.5 Gemini full moon, right on the USA rising sign. Yeah, so some things are going to happen. And if I had a cadre of astrologers helping me, I'd give you better information, but I don't. Anyway, this sets off the Neptune-Saturn square, see? The full moon, yeah. And so this whole business of Neptune and the liquids and the chemicals and the phoniness and the lies and the deceit. And Saturn, here's the judge. Here's the politician. Here's the guy, the banker. The guy in the suit and the tie. You mean they've been stealing all this stuff all the time? I'll never forget Greenspan. After the financial disaster, he was asked, well, how come you guys didn't have a better handle on these folks and these, CEOs of corporations? And Greenspan said, well, we thought the CEO of a corporation would naturally be looking out for his people, his stockholders, his employees, but they didn't. Greenspan himself. That was the cause of your financial disaster back a few years ago. Oh well. Wednesday night, late. Here we are, 9-10 o'clock. The moon trines Mars. It's okay, we can get up there and get some things done. But, oh look, I made a little more cartoon for you. What's that? Oh, that's water. That's rain. And on Wednesday, the 25th, begins a real intense cycle of natural disasters. Could be this is the big stuff coming at us, and so big that the U.S. as a whole is freaking out a little bit and watching it all. Let's just hope it isn't a huge thing in L.A. and the earthquake causes a big tsunami and blah blah blah. It's easy to get things out of proportion when Neptune's involved. It's easy to get paranoid. It's easy to blow things out of proportion, start seeing everything as a movie, It's hard to separate the movies from reality. Neptune's kind of like that. So Wednesday is that day, and there's going to be some freaky Wednesdays for a while when you're spilling things, and yeah, that's just the way it is. Thursday, moon still in Gemini on the 26th. Oops, there you go. Wasn't watching. Starts with the sextile to Uranus, and there's some common sense clicks in about noontime here. Then there's a square to Jupiter. Wait a minute, all the rich people got to get there. The lawyers want their money. They're all pumping up this stuff. Oh well, then there's right immediately after all the pumping and the laughing and too much, here's a trine to Venus, and there's a little relaxation, sex and sweets here, Thursday night. But this is the full moon that I've been talking about for 3-4 months. And once you have that full moon, it takes you a day or two before the new vibes click in and you're kind of used to a new reality. There's a cycle, and the full moon, new moon cycle. You go back 2 weeks ago here, we had the new moon at 19 degrees Scorpio, and it begins a whole new cycle, and the moon gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we get more into it, and our projects grow, and our understanding grows, and the moon comes down here to the full moon, and it's as big as it can be, almost a little bit loony, almost a little bit overdone, all the stuff we've learned, and then the moon, after the full moon, starts to go decrease in light, and when the moon starts getting smaller, projects and such have to be made smaller and reviewed and cut down to size again till you get over to here. Then there's a new moon again, and then you can start all over with a whole new plan and grow that for a couple of weeks until the full moon, decrease it until the new moon. Planting is a similar thing. Anyway, for you, here we got Freaky Wednesdays. Let's call them Wet Wednesdays, just for fun. And yeah. Friday, well, in the morning the moon's still in Gemini. You're still thinking about maybe some of that wetness. And the moon slips into Cancer, just before lunch, and all the vibes change. And maybe the water's not so bad. Maybe they're exaggerating all the fears about fishing. Maybe the priest, doctor, artist, musicians, maybe they're all okay, and we don't have to be suspicious so much. But don't let your guard down, because here comes the Pluto-Uranus square. Starts with Mars in the morning, early 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Square to Mars. Everybody's pissed off. They're anxious. They're impatient. They're disturbed. What am I protecting? Probably your sleep early Saturday morning. If you try to stay in bed, it won't work much, because here in the middle of the day, before lunch, here's the opposition to Pluto, and there's sirens, and there's emergencies, and everybody's glued to the TV and feeling alone. Saturday. That's your normal Saturday when the Pluto-Uranus square is going off, huh? Finally, Saturday night, about 10, here's a sextile to Jupiter. Aha! Now I see it clear, they say. And the clarity is good, but there's a square to Venus, 2-3 in the morning, Sunday morning, and you aren't getting any rest, are you? Sunday, the moon still goes through Cancer, at least until after lunch. Between lunch and dinner, it shifts into fixed fire. The Leo starts to feel more constructive and a little better. And Monday, actually, on the November 30th, you have a pretty good thing going here. Sextile to Mars and a trine to Saturn, and you're up and running, and you're getting the work done, and you're well organized. Everybody's going to enjoy Monday going to work. Strange, huh? Well, like I say, the French call it the spectacle, the existentialist, the spectacle. And there is one, yeah. You know, I'm 74. I've been reviewing my life a little bit. Interesting process. Just about got my report on Allah finished. I need a little help getting it out. If you'd like to help, call me at 322-3584. Help me send copies out to the world. Pure Taoism. My sister made this for us before she died. I treasure it. It's a gift from Cynthia. And Emerson. America started thinking with Emerson and stopped thinking with Emerson. Been reviewing my projects. Getting newspaper boys and girls off the streets in Honolulu. Mildly successful. I did most of that. There was an incinerator in Waipahu. I was a point man. Got that job done. Yeah, then burning Aniki trash on Kapa'a and Lahui. Oh boy. Mayor Ukamura, what a problem. Polluting their own people. The super ferry, eek, striker tanks and Pohakaloa pollution with lead. And then realizing, oh, we just went through the Hilo incinerator. Geez, we went back killing off the incinerator in Waipahu. They didn't learn a lesson at all. 25 years later, idiots are trying to put an incinerator into Hilo. Good heavens. Management says I have to put this at the end of the show. Eek! Aren't religious organizations like corporations? Using public access to promote religion. Bah!